everyone, and welcome back to the Spectral Division. Hope you're all doing well, and thanks for tuning in. So, Assassin's Creed Shadows looks quite interesting. Definitely one word for it, I suppose. Our first time in feudal Japan, and they're doing something that they've done before in a dual protagonist. Instead of brother and sister, however, now we are Nawe, an assassin or shinobi raised as such, and Yasuke, a samurai who lives by that honorable code. He's also a real figure from history, and he was definitely a samurai. But we're not going to really go into much about their characters, though that will be touched on. I want to talk about the inherent conflict in having these two protagonists and, why I don't think it's going to work out particularly well for Ubisoft in this case. Oh, and here, if you're enjoying this video so far, I would really, really appreciate it if you could give it a like. Let me know what you think about the conflict character in Assassin's Creed, and subscribe if you haven't already. That is also much appreciated. Really helps me get to where I'm wanting to get to. And yeah, if I can get to 1,000 subscribers before this year's out, big things will be coming. They are yet to be decided, but they are coming indeed. Okay, back to the video. So basically, within Shadows, you can freely switch between playing as either Yasuke or Nawe. Each have their own specific weaknesses and their own specific strengths. And so Nawe is your go-to person if you want to parkour around the show, going wherever you want and being able to scale buildings, infiltrate places, and also use stealth to get where you need to go and to kill those most important targets. Transversely, Yasuke is a walking tank. He can take a lot of hits, and he can deal out a lot more damage than Nawe can. Though, as a result, he can't really parkour, nor can he stealth. This is in two parts, you see. Parkour-wise, he can't do it because he's simply just too big of a guy and doesn't really know how to parkour effectively. So he can't run as fast, he can't climb as many things, and he doesn't have access to certain tools like the grappling hook, which would otherwise make it a lot easier for him to do parkour. And on the stealth side, due to the fact that he is a samurai, he does adhere to a code. And through that code, he's not really able to assassinate and be as stealthy as Nawe can, who does not subscribe to such a code. As a result, if Yasuke wants to assassinate someone, he can do so, but he will also make a large proclamation before he does it, and his assassination will be very, very loud. So, if there's anybody nearby, it means they're gonna also, become alerted, and so combat starts. So it's not as much a stealth tactic as it is a combat opener in that sense. They've also said a bit that Yasuke is meant to be this, suave talker, but we haven't really seen a lot of that in the gameplay, perhaps just simply because it wouldn't be as interesting to see Yasuke talk his way out of situations as it would be to see him fighting out of situations, but it's definitely something to consider when the full game comes out, as it was something they had mentioned previously. And inherently, I think the system is pretty good. It definitely gives you more of a reason to play as either Yasuke or Nawe, depending on the situation. Especially when you consider back in Syndicate when we had Jacob and Evie Fry, that all bar a couple of special skills in the skill tree, they didn't really have anything inherently different from each other. It was just you played as this one for this mission, and you played that one for that mission. And the main switching of it really only came into play in the open world, as most main story missions were dedicated to one or the other. In Shadows, however, that's not the case. You can basically take on most missions as either Yasuke or Nawe, and in certain occasions, those situations will change to suit whatever character you have. Say you have to infiltrate a pagoda. You can use Nawe to scale around the outside and get to the top where the target lies, or you can use Yasuke to bash down the front door and take it down that way. And inherently, this isn't a bad system. I think there is a lot to be said about being able to choose which character you have to go through any encounter with, and being able to have to deal with the effects of not being able to do everything as one character. And so in that sense, you have to think about how you go into an encounter. Is this mission more suited to Nawe? Is it more suited to Yasuke? And because of the way the world works, you can be switching between these two constantly, or focusing on the one that is more preferable to your playstyle. But the main problem comes if you want to choose one playstyle or another, and this is the main problem I see. If I don't like the combat, as I've not really liked in any of the RPG games, I feel like I'm going to struggle playing as Yasuke, as he simply is just the combat guy. So if I don't want to engage in combat, but I want to play as him or experience his side of the story, or from his perspective, say, it's going to be a lot harder if I'm not able to play how I would like to play an Assassin's Creed game. Transversely, then, it's the same for Naue. Naue is the stealth person, and if I was a person who wanted to do a lot of combat, with her, that's severely limited. And so I'm going to really struggle to properly play this game, and I may have to resort to not playing as my preferred character because I want to experience the other story, or I want to you know, make something easier for myself in that sense. And while I don't think that would be a problem usually, as being able to switch between one or the other should be pretty good, like with the way Ubisoft design their games, I just don't see this being all that viable. Ubisoft are very, very much in the way of just making a catch all in their environmental design. And while they have said in a few missions that, there will be specific like changes to the environment that suit either protagonist, such as in the previously said Progata mission, if you go in as Naue, there will be a little secret passage that isn't open when you're there for Yasuke. So it's a little slight variation on the level depending on who you play as. But for most encounters, and especially those in the open world, I don't think the playing as either Yasuke or Naue is going to be particularly different, because it needs to be designed to facilitate both characters, and so you're just going to have very generic places that aren't really going to allow you to really delve into one character or another, whether with not being able to have guards in the same locations that facilitate both playthroughs being good, but other issues with just general Ubisoft world design that is going to come as a result. Like if I want to just roam around the open world as Yasuke, as far as I can see, I'm going to have a lot more difficult time trying to synchronize viewpoints or just navigate the world in the same way that now I can. And yeah, that sort of stems from a result of having their weaknesses be so weak in that sense. Like, Yasuke's a big physical guy. Surely he should be able to, climb to a similar degree as now I can, if not with the same speed, with the enough ferocity that he can just jump a lot higher and do a lot more because he's a bigger guy. And it's not like he's a a chubby guy. He's just an athletic fella, where now he's quick and nimble. So yes, there are going to be differences some way, but I think in having Yasuke being nearly unable to effectively parkour is a bit of a hindrance. And then with Naue being a lot weaker in terms of her fighting capability, it just means that you're going to be completely disincentivized to ever be in combat, which again is not an inherently bad thing. But knowing Ubisoft's design, I'd say there's going to be more than one encounter where you're forced into combat scenarios as Naue, and that's going to cause issues. And I do think it's all a little bit antithetical to the point of these games where they say about player freedom being the number one consideration. And while yes, as I say, you can play as either character if you want to, but you're sort of limited in that character's playstyle. You're never getting that full player freedom. Fundamentally, I think it's just in the way they've structured this that the issue arises. If you had something more akin to GTA 5, where all three characters could be in the same location simultaneously and you can quickly swap from one to the other, that would be a lot more preferable to having to go into a menu every time you want to swap your character. It feels a little bit immersion breaking in that sense. So in my ideal world, the way they would have done this was Naue and Yasuke are both in the world together. You can see both of them together, and both of them can rely on each other because they're meant to be, and they've been structured as, at least in the marketing, as a team who work together to do what they're doing within Japan. Though in the gameplay, you're doing it as either one or the other, and I think that's just a little bit, it doesn't really make sense. If these two are meant to be fighting together, it's both of them doing all this stuff, then why choose between one and the other? Why not let both of them be active participants within the story? And yes, I think they do structure this like, oh yeah, Yasuke was there the whole time, but he just hung back to like Naue do her thing, or Naue hung back to let Yasuke do his thing. I don't think that's really particularly good in that way. The much better way of doing it was, if you're doing an infiltration, you could start going in as Naue to open a gate for Yasuke. Yasuke can use that opening to go in, start combat in a courtyard, which takes all of the guards' attention. You can then switch back to Naue to, maneuver around the rooftops using that distraction to get away and get into the place unseen while Yasuke holds the fort ahead. And with the recruit mechanic coming back, and where you can, order your recruits to assassinate, to distract, and hopefully various other abilities, as they've made a system that seems very similar to AC3 as far as I can tell. There's a lot of capability there of just having Naoe or Yasuke, depending on what character you play as, being an option as your recruit, because they're both there in that same place. So I could be going as Yasuke, trying to, stealthily maneuver my way in, though they haven't got any social stealth mechanics, so that's a little bit fucked too. Like, Yasuke as a samurai should be able to go into samurai areas and not be immediately, accosted for that. Obviously, he's gonna, he's a big guy. He's gonna, demand a certain presence for who he is, but it also would make sense for him to be in, a in a samurai fortress if he was going to like deliver a message, or even if he just said that. Again, you could bring in this social mechanic as crossed with this, suave communication, which again would be more just a part of social stealth if that was what we were implementing. And you could have him doing that there, and as he goes, there could be certain guards that maybe would recognize him straight away, very similar to Hitman. And you could have Nawe off in the background. If you spot one of these guards and they're about to spot you, all you have to do is do a wee whistle, and Nawe goes and assassinates them. That would be a lot cooler than just, oh, I'm going into this encounter as Yasuke and I fight everybody, or I'm going into this encounter as Nawe and I have to stick to the shadows. Like, I'm trying to be very, very fair to the game in the fact that I myself would just want to play as Nawe because I like stealth and I want Assassin's Creed to be about assassins and assassinating people. And Yasuke's gameplay isn't really, part of that. He is more to go in with that whole RPG side of things, where combat is always an option. And not to say combat was never an option in the old games, it was, but seems Ubisoft have forgotten about that, and they would rather have this whole RPG system that they have going on. And so they have tried here to appeal to both fantasies. Yasuke is your big fighter man who does all the combat. Nawe is your classical, archetypal assassin person. And as a result, they're trying to please everyone, and I don't think they'll please anyone. So yeah, it's a bit conflicting having both characters be playable in the ways that they're playable. There's a lot more Ubisoft could have done to make them a lot more interesting, and to make the game itself a lot more interesting as a whole. Like, if in an Assassin's Creed game I could like quick switch like I do in GTA, that would be utterly fantastic. And you never know, maybe when it gets to PC that some modders will be able to do that. I would love to see if that's possible. But yeah, I'm just a little bit about it as a whole. It's a bit conflicting because I want to engage with this game and enjoy this game for what it is, but it's also hard to do that whenever you're stringent to the design of Ubisoft games that just makes everything very, static, when you would want something to be immersive. But yeah, thanks everybody for watching. If you did enjoy it, please give me a like, a subscribe, a comment. That would all be appreciated. But really quick, before we go, we're going to announce the winner of the competition that we run on last week's Hellscape video. Or 2 weeks. I don't know, whenever you upload this, Adrian, I don't know, put a finger on the screen. But yes, after the giveaway is now ended as of this video, and the winner is this person right here. Well done, you won a copy of Hellscape. I've probably commented on your comment to say that you've won, and I'll probably just need your email address or private message to give you the code. But yeah, good job, you. Good job, guy. Yep, good. You did good. And yeah, that's the video, I guess. Thanks for watching again. Do all that other stuff I said before. And yeah, have a very good rest of your day, folks. Peace.